Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is absolutely fantastic to have you with us for another deep dive today.
Yes. The energy is just fantastic today. I am so ready for this one.
Oh, I am completely fired up. But before we even get into our mission today, I have to paint a little picture for you. Because the topic we are diving into, well, it exposes a very embarrassing reality about my own life.
Oh, no. I feel like I know where this is going.
You probably do. So I want you to picture this scenario. It is a Saturday afternoon. I am completely horizontal on my couch.
Naturally.
Right, naturally. I am wearing sweatpants that I have had on for, frankly, an unacceptable number of hours. There are literal potato chip crumbs resting on my shirt.
A very strong look.
Very strong. And what am I doing? I am intensely watching a documentary about elite gold medal winning Olympic athletes.
Yes, the classic paradox. We have all been on that exact couch.
Right. And as I am lying there, completely motionless, actively eating junk food, my brain suddenly decides to flip a switch. I say to myself, you know what? I am going to do that. Starting tomorrow, I am waking up at 4 in the morning.
Wow. From the couch to 4 a.m.
Exactly. I tell myself I am going to run 10 miles before breakfast. I am going to completely overhaul my diet, and I'm going to become an absolute machine. From the couch to the Olympics, basically overnight.
That is so universally true, though. Human beings absolutely love the idea of hard work. Like, we are completely addicted to the fantasy of being incredibly disciplined.
Oh, totally.
Especially when we are actively avoiding any actual work in that exact moment. Imagining the discipline gives us the emotional reward without any of the physical effort.
Exactly. It is like the ultimate lazy habit. You plan to be this superhuman version of yourself tomorrow, which gives you psychological permission to do absolutely nothing today. But that very contradiction is exactly why we are here. For you listening right now, we have a clear, highly practical mission for this deep dive. We are exploring a truly fascinating article called Microscopic Victories.
Such a great title.
It really is. And our goal today is to figure out, structurally and psychologically, exactly how self-discipline starts with small habits.
It is a brilliant, totally counterintuitive concept. We're going to look deeply at the behavioral psychology behind why our grand, massive plans almost always fail.
And how making your actions microscopic is actually the neurological secret to long-term success.
Right.
Okay, let's unpack this. The article starts with a scenario that is practically identical to my couch story, but they give it a great name. They call it Midnight Motivation.
Oh, Midnight Motivation. That is perfect.
Let me set the scene exactly as the text describes it. It is 11:30 at night on a Sunday. You are lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling maybe a little guilty about how you spent your weekend.
We have all been there.
And you suddenly decide you are going to completely transform your entire existence.
The classic Sunday night reset.
Yeah.
It is a tale as old as time.
Yes. You promise yourself with total, absolute sincerity that starting Monday morning, everything changes. You will wake up at 5 a.m.
Naturally.
You are going to read an entire nonfiction book every single week.
Yeah.
You are going to hit the gym for 2 solid hours after work. Oh, and you are quitting sugar entirely, forever.
No more cookies.
No more cookies, no more soda, a brand new you.
It is a beautiful, highly ambitious plan, at least at 11:30 at night when you are perfectly warm and resting in bed.
Right. But then we have to look at the reality of Monday morning. The alarm rings at 5 a.m. It is completely dark outside. The room is freezing cold, and absolute panic sets in.
Motivation completely evaporates.
It is gone. You look at that glowing alarm clock, you realize what you demanded of yourself, and you hit the snooze button 5 times in a row. Just like that, the grand plan dies instantly before the sun even comes up.
It is a familiar tragedy. And the source breaks down exactly why this happens. Trying to change absolutely everything about your routine at once is a highly predictable mistake.
And this brings us right to a core concept the article highlights. When you try to overhaul your whole life on a Monday morning, you are trying to bite off more than one can chew.
Yes, that is a crucial phrase to remember.
To bite off more than one can chew, meaning you are taking on a task that is just far too difficult or far too massive to handle all at once. You are setting up a failure condition right from the start.
Precisely. If your goal is to stay on track, and by to stay on track, I mean remaining focused on your original plan and continuing forward without getting distracted or quitting.
Right, if you want to stay on track.
Then you have to stop looking at this as a problem of willpower and start looking at it as a problem of biology.
Wait, biology. Let me pause you there. We are so conditioned to believe that failing at a new routine just means we are lazy or, I don't know, we lack moral character. You are saying it is a biological response.
What's fascinating here is the underlying behavioral psychology. The human brain deeply, fundamentally hates sudden, radical discomfort.
Wow.
It does not just dislike it, it actually treats it as an active danger. Think about it from a purely evolutionary perspective.
Okay.
Sudden, massive changes to your environment or a sudden massive drain on your caloric energy output are traditionally very dangerous for survival.
Oh, that makes total sense. Like if a primitive human suddenly started burning thousands of extra calories for no immediate reason, they might literally starve.
Exactly. So when you suddenly demand 4 hours of intense, focused English study from yourself after months and months of zero studying, the brain does not cheerfully say, "Oh, wonderful, we are expanding our vocabulary."
Right, it is not celebrating.
Not at all. The brain treats this heavy, unprecedented workload as a physical threat. It actively spikes your stress levels. Your internal systems essentially yell, "Why are we burning all this energy? We're going to exhaust our vital resources."
That is wild.
So the brain forces you to feel overwhelmed, anxious, and exhausted so that you will quit and go back to a safe, comfortable baseline.
So our brains are basically dramatic alarm systems that panic at the first sign of a textbook or a pair of running shoes.
That is a very accurate way to visualize it. Yes, it is an ancient survival mechanism misfiring in the modern world.
I really love thinking about it that way because it removes the guilt, you know? It is exactly like physical exercise. If I go to the gym for the very first time in my life, and instead of just lifting the empty bar to learn the basic movement, I load up the bar and try to deadlift 500 pounds on day one.
Right, you would not just fail to lift it, you would actively injure yourself.
My body would completely break. I would pull muscles, I would hurt my back, and I would be in so much pain I would not be able to return to the gym for months. And what the source is arguing is that we do the exact same thing to our minds with these giant goals. We try to mentally deadlift 500 pounds on day one.
Yes, and just like a physical injury, the mental exhaustion from that massive cortisol spike makes you need weeks to psychologically recover before you are willing to try studying or exercising again. This is the absolute trap of radical changes.
Okay, so if the grand, dramatic midnight motivation is actually setting off our brain's internal alarm system and guaranteeing our failure, what is the fix? How do we bypass that dramatic alarm system so we can actually improve our lives?
The solution provided by the behavioral psychologists in the article is wonderfully simple, but it requires you to completely check your ego at the door.
Okay, I am listening.
You have to drastically lower the barrier to entry. From a neurological perspective, consistency is far, far more important than intensity.
Wait, so intensity is actually the enemy here. We are so culturally conditioned to believe no pain, no gain, but you are saying the pain is exactly what triggers the brain to shut the habit down.
Precisely. The source gives some brilliant, highly specific parameters on this. Doing something poorly for 5 minutes every single day is psychologically superior to doing something perfectly for 3 hours once a month.
Doing it poorly? Oh man, that is going to hurt the perfectionists listening right now. How is doing something poorly for 5 minutes better?
Because you are building the neurological pathway. You are proving to your brain that this action is actually safe. If you want to build a reading habit, the article specifically advises against trying to read a whole chapter today. Just read one single page.
One page.
That is your entire goal, one page. If you want to wake up earlier, do not change your alarm by 2 brutal hours. Change it by just 5 minutes.
That is incredibly practical, and I see how that bypasses the alarm system. The brain looks at a 5-minute earlier wake-up time and thinks, okay, that is not a threat to our survival. I will allow that.
Exactly.
And by making the habit microscopic like that, you ensure that you can maintain it through thick and thin.
Yes, through thick and thin.
Which means under all circumstances. No matter how difficult, no matter how exhausting, or how problematic a day becomes.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the through thick and thin aspect is where the actual magic of habit formation happens. Let's say you have a terrible, awful, incredibly stressful day at work.
Okay.
Your boss yelled at you, traffic was a nightmare, you get home late, you are mentally exhausted, and you have a headache. If your goal is to study English for 2 hours, are you going to do it?
No way. Absolutely not. The barrier is way too high. I am going straight to the couch with the potato chips to soothe my stress.
Exactly. Your executive function is completely depleted. But if your only goal, your only requirement for the day is to study English for 2 minutes, even on the absolute worst day of your life, you still have the mental energy for 2 minutes of practice.
Right.
If your habit requires optimal conditions, it is not a habit. It is a luxury. You can do 2 minutes through thick and thin. And this relentless consistency, doing it every single day without fail, is what actually rewires your neural pathways.
Because it stops being scary.
Exactly. Your brain stops seeing the new habit as a sudden dangerous threat and slowly starts accepting it as a normal, safe part of your daily environment.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Because I want to push back on this a little bit on behalf of the highly ambitious listeners.
Please do.
Honestly, if I sit down and I read just one single page of a book, doesn't that feel kind of useless? I mean, a standard nonfiction book has 300 pages. If I read 1 page a day, it's going to take me nearly a year to finish a single book.
That is the math. Yes.
And if I only work out for 5 minutes, I am not going to lose any weight. How does lowering the bar to the floor actually get me to my ultimate massive goals?
That is the perfect question. And it is the exact reason why most people refuse to try this method. Their ego hates it. But it brings us right to the core of behavioral psychology. The secret mechanism here isn't the physical output. It is the dopamine hit.
The dopamine hit. Are we talking about the brain's reward chemical?
Yes. It is not about the volume of what you accomplish on day one. It is about fundamentally changing your self-image through neurochemistry. When you set a massive goal, like reading 50 pages, and you fail, your brain registers defeat.
And you feel terrible.
Right. But when you set a goal to read just 1 page, and you actually sit down and read that 1 page, your brain registers a clear, undeniable success. It checks the box.
Oh, whoa.
And in response, it releases a small hit of dopamine, which is the chemical of reward, satisfaction, and motivation.
Oh, I see. So you're engineering a scenario where it feels good to check the box, even if the box is tiny, rather than constantly feeling the guilt of failing a massive goal.
Exactly. You're training your brain to associate the activity with pleasure and success, rather than stress and failure. And this repeated daily dopamine hit helps you to build momentum.
To build momentum, that is such a key phrase here.
Yes. Building momentum means gaining psychological strength and speed, making succeeding exponentially easier over time.
That concept of momentum is so important. Think of your brain like a completely neglected, overgrown hiking trail in the woods. If you try to drive a massive truck through it on day 1, like trying to work out for 2 hours, you will just crash into the trees and get stuck in the mud.
You fail.
But if you just walk down that trail for 2 minutes every single day, you slowly press down the weeds, you snap the small branches, you clear a tiny path, and eventually, after weeks of clearing that path, running down it becomes entirely effortless. You have built momentum.
That is a phenomenal analogy. You are reducing the cognitive friction. And to execute this properly, as the source heavily emphasizes, you must take it 1 step at a time.
1 step at a time.
Yes, you approach the massive goal slowly and sequentially. You focus strictly on the immediate tiny action right in front of you, without obsessing over how far away the final destination is. Doing it 1 step at a time is the only way to not overwhelm the system.
Because obsessing over the finish line is what triggers that feeling of, well, this is useless, right?
Exactly. And the real-world application of that, how this actually gets you to read the 300-page book, is profound. The hardest part of any task is simply overcoming the friction of starting.
Getting off the couch is the hardest part.
Yes, but once you have established the micro-habit of just opening the book every day, you naturally want to do more. You sit down to read your 1 required page. The friction of starting is gone because the requirement was so low. But now you're already sitting in the chair.
Right.
The book is open. The dopamine from succeeding is already flowing. And so that 1 required page effortlessly turns into 5 pages. That 2 minutes of English practice, because your notebook is already open on your desk, naturally extends into 15 minutes.
But the requirement was only 2 minutes, so anything you do beyond that feels like extra credit. You don't feel burdened by it. You feel like an absolute genius overachiever.
You feel successful, which makes you want to do it again tomorrow. This raises an important question for everyone listening to reflect on. Are you currently focusing on the grand impossible destination, or are you focusing on the micro victory of today?
That is powerful.
The article makes it crystal clear. True self-discipline isn't a massive, dramatic explosion of willpower. Willpower is a highly finite resource. It runs out very quickly when you are stressed. Discipline is a muscle. And just like physical muscles, it is not built by lifting a car once. It is trained through tiny, repetitive, highly manageable daily routines.
That completely flips the traditional perspective on its head. It is not about how intensely you can push yourself to suffer for one day. It is about how softly and consistently you can push yourself every single day.
I could not have summarized the psychology better myself.
Well, this has been an incredibly enlightening journey into how our brains actually process ambition and habit. We have covered a lot of psychological ground today, and I want to make sure these concepts really stick for you listening. It is time to gather all the golden nuggets we have unearthed and lock them in.
Excellent idea. The framework we discussed today relies heavily on a few core concepts, and understanding how they interlock is key to applying this to your own life.
Absolutely. We are going to do a clear review section right now. We will take turns recapping the 5 key phrases we emphasized today, providing a quick summary of their meanings specifically based on the behavioral psychology we just explored. I will kick us off with number 1.
Sounds good.
Number 1, to bite off more than one can chew. In the context of our deep dive, this means taking on a goal or task that is so massively difficult, it actively triggers your brain's threat response. Remember the Sunday night plan to completely change your life by Monday morning. That massive cognitive load overloads your executive function. That is biting off more than you can chew.
Perfect context. Number 2, to stay on track. Psychologically, this means keeping moving forward efficiently without abandoning your goal when the initial excitement fades. The only biological way to stay on track is to bypass the brain's alarm system by keeping the daily requirements incredibly small and non-threatening.
Great. Number 3, through thick and thin. This means continuing your habit in spite of all kinds of difficulties or severe stress. You must design a habit so microscopic, like reading just one single page, that you can successfully complete it through thick and thin. It must survive your worst, most exhausting days when your willpower is at 0.
Number 4, to build momentum. This is the neurological process of making a habit easier over time. By achieving tiny daily victories, you give your brain a consistent dopamine hit. This reward signal clears the mental friction, creating a powerful, steady progress that makes succeeding tomorrow require significantly less effort than it did today.
And finally, number 5, one step at a time. This means deliberately shifting your focus away from the intimidating, massive destination. Instead of worrying about writing a whole novel, you focus strictly on writing one sentence. You approach the goal slowly, sequentially, and safely, lowering the barrier to entry so you never trigger your brain's panic response.
Those 5 concepts, when linked together, provide a complete, scientifically backed blueprint for changing your behavior.
They really do. So what does this all mean for you listening right now? It means that you can officially let yourself off the hook. You do not need a massive Sunday night panic to change your life.
No, you really don't.
You do not need that dramatic midnight motivation. In fact, you should actively avoid it. You just need to lower the barrier. Seek out those micro victories. Read the one page. Practice the language for 2 minutes. Do a terrible 5-minute workout. Protect your consistency above absolutely all else, because that relentless consistency is how you actually rewire your brain for long-term success.
It is a profoundly liberating shift in how we view achievement. You no longer have to be perfect. You just have to be present. And I want to leave you the final thought to mull over as you go about your day.
Let's hear it.
We have established that self-discipline is a muscle, and it only grows through tiny, repetitive, highly imperfect motions. So, looking at your own life, what is the 5-minute micro-habit you are willing to do terribly today so that your future self can do it perfectly a year from now?
Oh, that is a fantastic question to end on. I am definitely going to be thinking about my own 5-minute micro-habit the next time I find myself staring at a documentary from the couch. Well, that is all the time we have for today. We want to warmly thank you for joining us on this deep dive. It has been an absolute blast exploring the hidden mechanics of the mind with you.
Thank you so much for exploring these ideas with us. Have a wonderful, highly consistent day.
Keep taking it one step at a time, everyone. We will see you on the next deep dive. Goodbye!